Sorry. It says in the Shulchan Aruch, which is coming from Masechet Brachot, the Gemara over there, it says that a person is not allowed to talk in the Bet Knesset.
100%.
What does that mean? Divrei Chol. Divrei Chulin, never allowed to talk in the Bet Knesset. Things which are not Kadosh. Like you're talking about the weather, how's the weather today, how's this, and the news, what happened to politics, this and that. What happened with Trump, what happened with Biden, this, all kinds of things like this, right? This is Divrei Chol. Also comes the Mishnah Berurah and says, same thing also business. A person is not allowed to talk about business in the Bet Knesset. How your business is going, you're up, you're down, right? You're making money, you're not making money, you're losing, you're gaining, whatever it is, right? All these kinds of things. A person is not allowed to talk these kinds of things in the Bet Knesset. So what is the Bet Knesset for? Basically for Divrei Torah, Divrei Kedusha, Divrei Tefillah. Right? That's what it's for. That's the only thing you're allowed to do. They say, by the way, that the Arizal was so makpid about this, that he wouldn't even give a sichat musar in the Bet Knesset. You know what that means, musar? Words of admonition, rebuke about how to be a good Jew and everything. And he wouldn't do in the Bet Knesset. Why? But the musar is Divrei Torah, no? So why not? Why not? What's the problem? So what the problem is? When you talk words of musar, what happens is that you get also into Divrei Chol sometimes, You talk about mundane things, to explain something in musar, how this goes and how that goes. So you come to also to say some Divrei Chol. So he was so scared not to say Divrei Chol in Bet Knesset, so he wouldn't even speak words of musar in the Bet Knesset. So what would he speak? Only, other things, the halakha, Talmud, whatever, right? Not musar, because it comes to Divrei Chol. This is what it says. Okay, so this is regarding all the time that a person is not allowed to do this in the Bet Knesset. Whether there's a minyan, no minyan, he's here alone by himself, or with the people, with the kahal, it doesn't make any difference. Even if you're by yourself over here at night, it's dark, no lights, still the same halakha, same thing, right? Okay, good. But then, what happens is that during the tefillot, though, right, during the times of the tefillah, there you can't even talk sometimes divrei Torah also, because now it's time for tefillah. So when is it asur to talk even words of Torah? It says in Shulchan Aruch after Baruch She'amar, right? From Baruch She'amar, all the way until the end, until Ishtabach, and then from Kriyat Shema also, right? And Amidah, and Chazrat HaShatz, and also until you finish the Tachanun, Vidui and Tachanun, until you finish everything like that, a person is not allowed to talk at all. Even Divrei Torah you're not allowed to say. This is the thing, That's why I tell people, sometimes, I see people that when they're doing the Birkat HaKohanim, the father is also blessing his children, in the Chazrat HaShatz. But this is Asur, you know why? Because he's not allowed to talk during the Chazrat HaShatz. How are you talking during the Chazrat HaShatz? You're not allowed to do even blessings on Chazrat HaShatz. You have to be quiet and listen to the Chazan. So it's not allowed to talk during Chazrat HaShatz. That means you can't even say blessing to your son. So who's the only one who can say the blessing? The Kohen. The Kohen is allowed to bless over there. But the father, right, is not allowed to bless over there, say anything blessing. Not allowed because it's, even Divrei Torah, by the way. It says in several books, Kaf HaChaim, Halichot Olam, Maran, Rav Ovadia Shalom, and also in the Mishnah Berurah, you know what they say? Also, you're not allowed to talk Divrei Torah during the Chazrat HaShatz. So even if you're saying Divrei Torah, Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, this is also Asur, because even that's Asur on Chazrat HaShatz. You're not allowed to say Divrei Torah. You're not even allowed to think about Divrei Torah, to look in the Sefer, to look in a book, and to study. Some people, the Yetzer Hara comes to them, unfortunately. What happens, right? All day they don't learn Torah, and the only time they want to learn Torah is when they're doing Chazrat HaShatz. So they're instead of doing a mitzvah, they're doing a sin, So the Yetzer Hara comes, Satan, comes to them. I don't know how the Satan gets into their head like this, The only time they want to learn Torah is during Chazrat HaShatz. But during that time it's Asur. What can you do, right? Why is it Asur, by the way? Because you have to listen to the brachot and answer Amen. Baruch Hu Baruch Shem Amen. If you're learning Torah, you don't have the concentration to do that. You're going to lose it. So this is the reason why it's not allowed. By the way, there's also another reason. It says the Ben Ish Chai that the most high level of tefillah, which one is it? The highest level of tefillah. Chazrat HaShatz. It's the highest level. So what does that mean? The Ben Ish Chai says the tefillah goes way, 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 way high at that time. Way, way high. The highest that it can possibly go. It goes really, really high. So therefore, at that time, a person has to be most careful not to speak during that time. Chazrat HaShatz. So it says the Maran Shulchan Aruch regarding this, right? Person sach be Chazrat HaShatz, Gadol abono mineso. You know what that means? Unbelievable, right? His sin is too great to bear. You know, it's too much. The sin is too much. He can't bear the sin. You know, we look at the Shulchan Aruch, by the way. Orach Chaim, Yerodea, Even Ezer, Shoshen Mishpat. The only time that it says like this language, Gadol abono mineso, is during this Hazrat Hashatz he's talking. There's no other place in the Shulchan Aruch that says this language. Can you imagine? So this is considered to be a very, very big sin. Why? Because as we said, right, the tefillah, the ikar, the tefillah is the Hazrat Hashatz. Also the Rambam says this, by the way. The Rambam says, you know, that what is tefillah betzibur? You know, that it's considered to be like the tzibur is praying together. So you may think, what's tefillah betzibur? When everybody's doing the silent amidah, right? Everybody's silent. But the Rambam doesn't say like that. The Rambam says, when the Chazan is saying Hazrat Hashatz, and they're answering Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemon, this is the tefillah betzibur. So he also holds, you know, that the ikar tefillah betzibur, praying with the community, is doing the Hazrat Hashatz. So you see from there, right, that, by the way, this is a machloket in the Talmud, you know, over there. There's two opinions brought down over there. Some say the ikar is a silent amidah in the Talmud. Some say the ikar is a Hazrat Hashatz. So according to the Kabbalah, right, Yavo Shlishi v'Achriya Benehem, it's Hazrat Hashatz is more holy than the silent amidah. This is the halakha. Can you imagine? So how a person has to be careful not to talk during that time, right? So as we said also that when you're saying vidui and tachanun, also there it's brought down in the Masechet Bava Metzia. Over there it's brought down. The Shulchan Aruch also brings it down that you're not allowed to talk during that time either until you finish the tachanun, because if you talk before the tachanun, and when you're doing vidui or something like that, what happens is that it becomes a hefsek between the tefillah and the tachanun. And so therefore your tachanun becomes very weak, very chalash. It doesn't have the power anymore, the tachanun. It loses its power because you talked between the Hazrat Hashatz and the tachanun. Not allowed to do that either. So the person has to be careful not to do that either. Okay, very good. By the way, there's a story brought down. I should tell you, it's a little bit tragedy, but there's a whole discussion over there in Bava Metzia that there was a big machloket between Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Eliezer in the Bet Din over there, in the Sanhedrin, So what happened was that Rabban Gamliel embarrassed Rabbi Eliezer, he did him bushot. He embarrassed him, Big sin. Yeah, big sin. It was a big sin, the truth is, So you know what happened, right? They removed Rabban Gamliel to be Nasi, because he embarrassed him like this, They removed him. They took him out. They removed him from the job. Can you imagine? Because he embarrassed Rabbi Eliezer like this. So what happened was, that Rabbi Eliezer was very upset. Can you imagine? You upset a big chacham like this. How a person has to be careful not to upset a Talmid Chacham. You see from this story. So you know what happened, right? That Rabbi Eliezer, they say, as we talked about before, when I was here last week, we said, right, that the Tachanun prayer is so strong, the person says the Tachanun properly, all his enemies fall in front of him. That's what it says in the Gemara. You understand? So what happened was that Rabbi Eliezer, he was going to say Tachanun. If he was going to say Tachanun, you know what's going to happen, right? Who's his enemy? Rabban Gamliel, Shem Yirachem. So you know what happened, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu tried to prevent him from saying Tachanun. He tried to prevent him, He was forgetting all the time. Somebody would come and talk to him, And, hey, how are you? How are you doing, How's everything today? Oh, okay. Oh, it's Tachanun. Oh, I forgot. So every time he was forgetting, So one time what happened was he didn't forget, and he said the Tachanun right away.
What's Tachanun? It's honor?
Tefillah David, right? So he said Tachanun right away. He didn't talk. So what happened was they say at that day Rabban Gamliel died. Shem Yirachem, right? When he said the Tachanun, Rabban Gamliel went bye. He went to Leolamo. Can you imagine? Because of the koach of the Tefillah of the Tachanun. Can you imagine such a thing like this? So you see from there, right? That so you see from there the Shulchan Aruch learns that you're not allowed to talk between the Hazrat Hashatz and Tachanun. Because if you do, right, you see what happened to Rabbi Eliezer, right? It was only effective when he didn't talk. When he talked, there was no effect over there going on. This is the thing.
Which Shaharit, which best time to pray Shaharit?
Nets.
That's the best.
Of course, yeah.
The earliest one, yeah?
Yeah, the Nets is the best. Of course.
Tefillah
Mina Bukhar, Benet Tzachama. But also, 637 is also good, like they do here. It's also good, very good.
Nets is best.
Yeah, Nets is the best, but 637 is also very good, Maran Rav Ovadia Shalom, he used to daven at 7 o'clock. Before he was 6:30, then he went to 7. Maran Rav Ovadia. Yeah, he used to daven at 7 o'clock. We used to pray there, all the time. That's the way it was always. The rabbi didn't like so much to pray benetz. And the reason is because for him, the learning was more important. He was learning. Before the tefillah, he was learning like 2-3 hours.
2-3 hours?
Yeah, before the tefillah. So can you imagine before Shacharit? So he didn't want to interrupt that. So he knew that the Talmud Torah can't get kulam. It's more important than Netzachama. So if you're going to lose your learning time, Torah time, first better to learn Torah than to go to Netz. Better, it's better, of course.
It's not more important.
Talmud Torah can't get kulam, right?
It's not more important.
Tefillah is the Rabbanan, Talmud Torah is the Oraita, right? Much bigger, much greater. You know what I mean? That's the thing, right? So that's the whole thing. The Ikar is Talmud Torah. Like they say, right? There's a Gemara like this. It says that Rabbi Yehuda, the Emorah, Rabbi Yehuda, he used to review the whole Torah in 1 month. He used to review the whole Torah, everything. Talmud, Midrash, Halakha, Tanakh, Kabbalah, everything. He used to review everything. Every month he used to review the whole Torah. Every month. So it says that he used to pray only once a month. That's it. When he would finish the whole Torah, then he would do one prayer. So you know why? Because a person like this, he's so big in Torah, he's patur from tefillah. He doesn't have to pray. Only once a month he used to pray. That's it. You understand? We're not on that level. We're not on that level, obviously.
It's a high level.
Yeah, it's a very high level. Even Maran, who was very great, he wasn't on that level. He didn't do these kinds of things. You know what I mean? He prayed every day normal, like everybody else. That's the way it is, But if you are on that level, Torah Tom Manoto. You know what that means? That your profession is Torah, night and day. You don't stop ever. So there, you're patur from tefillah. You don't have to do tefillah. Once a month you pray, and that's it. Gamarno, right? That's it. Okay, so now I want to tell you one more thing. We stop here. Also, there's another place where you're not allowed to talk, right? Which is during the Kriyat Torah. We have our friend David. Comes over here, yells at us. Why are you talking? Why are you talking? But the truth is, we get upset at him sometimes. But he's right. You're not allowed to talk during the Kriyat Torah. Yeah. Our friend David over here, our neighbor over here, right? Our shachen. Right? The truth is, he's right. He's screaming at everybody. He's getting people upset, but he's right. You're not allowed to talk during the sometimes he's also talking himself.
You're not allowed to talk from Boru Shama to the end or what?
That's something else. Okay, I don't want to get into that. I'm sorry?
You're not allowed to start from Boru Shama to the end of the...
Right, and then also Kriyat Torah also, right? Not allowed to talk during that time. So what's the halakha be'emet? Says Maran, even ben gavra legavra, between the aliyot, like in other words, they're doing, hashkava or, something like this, mishe berach, even then you're not allowed to talk. So you have to be quiet from Rishon until Mashlim, right? No, don't say one word. It says in Shulchan Aruch also, you're not allowed to talk divrei Torah even. There is one opinion, by the way, that you're allowed to talk divrei Torah. It's a yesh omrim over there. But the halakha is like the stam. Halakha is that even divrei Torah you're not allowed to talk. So what can you do if you're getting bored, between the aliyot, you're getting bored, right? Mishe berach, hashkava, baklava, this, right? You're getting bored from all this stuff, right? Going crazy from all these hashkavot, right? So what do? Take a sefer and learn quietly. Don't say with your mouth. You're allowed to learn quietly, between the aliyot, right? When they finish the aliyot between one and the other, you can learn silently.
What about the korbanot? Are you allowed to call korbanot?
You can talk, yes, if you need to. But as we said, right, divrei chol is always asur. Divrei chol is always asur, no matter what time it is. ברוך ה' לעולם, אמן ואמן. רבי חנניה בן קשון, אז קודש ברוך הוא זוכר צפר, לפיך אכיר בא להם תורה ומצוות, שנאמר אדוני חפש, למען צדקו ידיר תורה וידיר.